Hey guys, Mr. Basie here, and today we're going to be talking about some beginner tips as well as some slightly more advanced tips for the warrior class in Realm Royale. I was going to wait on this considering it is an alpha, but I figured that with the success of my previous video, which you can watch here if you're interested, I figured I would begin to release these now so that you guys can get a better understanding of the classes as well as figure out some tips and tricks to use your favorite hero. So without further ado, let's get into the basics. First, let's talk about the warrior in and of itself and really get that out of the way for those people that just want a good, comprehensive understanding of the warrior. So like the other classes, he has 4 abilities to use in combat aside from the base ability they start with. These abilities are Charge, Healing Flask, Shield Potion, Net Shot, and his class ability, Heroic Leap. Using colors, I'd like to keep this a little simple, so hopefully this is more simplified. Using colors, we're going to go ahead and go over the better versions of these skills and how it affects the cooldowns as well as the damages, healing rates, and things like that. So we'll go over them one by one. So Heroic Leap, to begin with, is, as you guys know, just a huge jump. You can go super far, super high, and this is the way it improves as the tiers get higher. So white or common will be at 14 seconds cooldown. That's the default. Rare or green is 12 seconds cooldown. Epic or purple is 10 seconds, and then legendary or orange is 8 seconds. So you can see how it incrementally improves in cooldown. Now in terms of damage, and that's right, I will be talking about this in a little bit here, it goes from white 375, green 450, purple 525, and orange 600. Now in regards to the shield potion, as you guys know, you just toss the shield potion down. You can use it on your partners or your teammates as well as yourself, so it can be used on you as well if you toss it close to yourself or just simply look at the ground and toss it. This will improve in cooldown basically in increments of 3, so it's going to go white 19, green 16, purple 13, and orange 10. In terms of the amount it'll actually give you when you put it down, white will be 350, green's 400, purple's 450, and orange is 500. Now comparatively is the healing potion. It does the exact same thing as the shield potion, but it has to do with your health, and it doesn't instantly give you shields or health in that matter. It will be like over time, it heals yourself incrementally, and it can be done on your teammates as well as yourself using the same basic concept of just simply tossing it at the ground or a wall that you're standing close to. This will improve in increments of 2 seconds, going from white at 16, green at 14, purple at 12, and orange at 10. And the amount it'll heal you will be white at 250, green at 325, purple at 400, and orange at 475. Now Net Shot is going to be reducing your enemy's speed. Now this will also reduce in cooldown, but what it's going to do is increase in amount it slows the enemy down. Not how long, but the amount it slows the enemy down over time. So that'll be white at 10 seconds, green at 8 seconds, purple at 6 seconds, and orange at 4 seconds. So that legendary version, even arguably the epic version, or purple and orange, you can use those pretty darn quick back to back. So that is really impressive. Now the slowdown percentage goes white at 20%, green at 40%, purple at 60%, and orange at 80%. Now, the very last one is going to be Charge. The difference with Charge is that it doesn't actually do different amounts of damage as the ranks go up. It's all 400 damage across the board. The only thing that gets changed is the cooldown time. So in regards to that, it's white at 11, green at 9, purple at 7, and orange at 5. So you can really, use it quite often, the higher tiers, during the higher tiers. Now we'll talk about these abilities a little bit more in depth in just a moment here, but without a doubt the abilities are what make the warrior one of the best classes to play at this time. Specifically, in my opinion, the shield potion and the charge ability. Now the others are good as well, don't get me wrong. As a matter of fact, shield potion and health potion can be interchanged, and again I'll talk about that in just a moment once we get to some of the more potential use case scenarios. Now before we get there, let's talk about the warrior's class weapon, the throwing axe. It is one of the best weapons amongst the classes. I would argue that it's not so much the weapon. You know, it really does depend on the user. However, it really is, you know, if it is pretty darn good. You know, the ability of it to throw as often as it does and hit as hard as it does make it a very formidable weapon in the right hands. I'm personally of the belief that all of the weapons are super good in their own right. But again, it's that frequency and the hard hittingness of that particular weapon that makes it super good, but it is one of the most difficult. You do have to practice quite a bit. There's a lot of variation with that weapon. Not only do you have to lead it, but also, of course, there's a pretty substantial drop off the further away it is. So it's something that you're going to have to practice with, but it is one of the more impressive weapons amongst the different heroes or classes. So now that we have all of the information in mind, let's talk about the different case scenarios for the skills specifically. As I mentioned before, using the weapon is pretty straightforward. If you practice, you'll just get better with it. It's not like there's a secret to it. You know, you just got to practice with it, get the leading down, get the drop down, and you will get better with it. That's really all there is to the weapon. So here are some of the potential ways the abilities can be used. Just a small disclaimer, these are more than likely not the only ways the warrior abilities can be used. There's probably dozens of ways that the abilities can be used, but these are just some of the ways I personally used, you know, ways they've been used against me, and ways I feel like they could be used in and out of combat. Just, you know, theorizing different ways and theories that I've been having, and, you know, maybe we could all put them to the test in the comments down below and just really share ideas and see what works and what doesn't. So let's start with the shield pot. As I mentioned before, the shield pot is one of the most useful abilities in my opinion. Not just for your allies, of course, but its ability to naturally be used on yourself as well really can be the difference between life and death in an engagement. So once engaging an opposing player, they're going to need to shoot through the shield once you deploy it before they can get to your armor and health. So you have to keep in mind it also has a timer once activated. So if used at just the right moment, it could give you a slight edge at the beginning and, more importantly, potentially at the end of a fight. I personally use the shield potion to win a gunfight by initiating it, you know, around the end so as to give myself more health, you know, so to speak, I guess, you know, as the enemy is going to have to shoot through the shield to get to my actual armor and health. In that particular scenario, me and the opposing player were literally one shot. You know, probably if I shot him and he shot me, we were done. We both had shotguns. It was a really close fight. When I deployed my shield, it made it so that I, in that case, became a two-shot, and then he was a one-shot. So when we both shot, I hit him, and he hit me. Now, of course, he hit me first, but when I hit him, he turned into a chicken and started balking around and going crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that was the difference. He shot first, and had it not been for my shield, I would have been the chicken going crazy. So it really does get down to that. It's, you know, it's if you're playing by yourself specifically, that's it. That's the end of the match for you. If you didn't have that, that would be the end of the match. So it's super monumental. In my opinion, one of the best abilities that the warrior has going for it, because it essentially, especially the higher tiers the shield goes, you know, for everybody, it's 1200 health and 1200 armor. In his case, it will far really exceed that depending on how much you actually have. So it's a very, very important aspect of his kit, and something I personally wouldn't go without. If I find a shield pot, I am taking that over the majority of the other things. I'm taking it over the health, I'm taking it over net shot, and, you know, if I have to, I'll take it over charge even, because it's just that good. It really can save your life. It can be the difference between life and death in your games. And it really does just use that age-old mindset of sometimes the best offense is a good defense. Now, in contrast to that, the health potion ability, it'll allow you to use more of your shards to craft shield potions as well as other things, as you can just heal yourself in between fights incrementally alongside your healing potions, so you won't need as much, or just completely eradicate the healing potion altogether. You're going to need to get out of dodge anyway to use your healing pot. So by using the healing potion, you really are, you know, kind of eradicating the need for health potions. In a sense, yes, you can use health potions more frequently, get your health maxed out quicker, But, you know, if you don't have any, it's an extremely good alternative, especially at the beginning of a game. I personally feel that the health potion is the most effective in the very beginning or in squads. You know, if everybody gets together and you put the healing potion down, that can really help out your squad big time, especially when you don't have enough health potions to go around. However, you know, in the very beginning, if we're talking solos, in the very beginning of the match, when you don't have the greatest gear, you're having trouble finding stuff. If you find a shield potion, that really might be your saving grace. So it's not like it's awful. It's just not something I would take late game, especially when you're looting, you know, crazy amounts of armor and shield health pots. You know, it's just not going to be necessary late game. You're much better off getting a little extra armor, or maybe again the charge ability, or even the net shot if you really know how to use it well. But again, I would personally go over charge. So speaking of net shot, it is really situational. It can certainly be used in every engagement, and I can see the use case scenarios for it now. But in my eyes, it's best used in team play. You know, just think of it like this. With the warrior, you know, you could maybe combine it with, you know, of course you're going to shoot at them, right, once you use net shot. But you can combine it with another ability such as charge. Sure, you get 400 easy damage. Great. But it's so much more effective in team play, where you could literally use net shot, and the better it is, the more it slows them down, to literally trap them in place, so to speak, and then have another class, such as the engineer, use their area of effect on that player, and then they're going to have so much more health drained away from them than they otherwise would have, because they're going to take longer to escape than they, you know, would have otherwise. So it's so much more effective in team play. I would say that realistically, if you're running teams, if you're running squads, and you maybe, if it's just one warrior, you might actually want to use net shot over charge. I would definitely not forego shield for sure, but I would maybe use net shot over, you know, charge in that particular use case. There's a wide variety of different things you could do in different combinations. You really just have to go about it the way that your team would play. But for singles, your net shot is not really the best thing in my opinion. Now, we touched on charge a little bit in that previous one. The ability, of course, can be used in the middle of battle. That's, you know, just kind of the straightforward use case to do some serious damage. But in addition to that, it can be used to evade an incoming attack. The first thing I think of is, you know, the engineer's grenade launcher. That's one of the first things that I think of. Or maybe just to get around a corner quickly, or to dash across an opening more quickly. Those kind of things. But in addition to that, it can be used just as a straight up mobility ability. You know, one of the things that I think of often is which class is the most mobile. And many of you will probably think, oh, it's the mage, you know, or maybe it's the hunter, you know. Those classes can move pretty darn good, you know, and the mage specifically can go very far. You know, that's one of the mage's things. They just fly around and can reach a pretty good distance and get onto different heights and things like that. Well, yes, and I would say that in terms of verticality, the mage is definitely much better, but in terms of just pure mobility in every direction, I really think that the warrior is the best there is in the game as of right now. You can use charge in addition to heroic leap to maneuver around the map extremely quickly. I mean, it's super quick. If you're not taking horses into consideration, it's really fast. And not only that, but both of them can be used as a, you know, not only in a mobile sense, but they both do damage in addition to that. So not only are you getting further and faster away from the enemy, but if you're using it aggressively, they both do damage. You know, you could say, well, the mage is pretty mobile, but the mage is a thing. If you hit somebody as you're flying to them, it doesn't do damage to them. If you hit somebody as you're flying, you know, with the warrior, as you're jumping down or dashing, or charging, I should say, you're going to do damage. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You get super high mobility and super high damage all in one package for really no sacrifice. It's pretty impressive. So last but not least, let's touch on Heroic Leap. As you may have noticed, it's not just a way to get around the map or escape a fight. As I mentioned before, it does actually do damage to the player if you land on them. Again, that's something I didn't even know about to begin with. This is something that I found out by playing the game and researching it. I didn't even know that it caused damage. You know, call me a noob, I don't know. It just didn't seem like it came naturally to think that that's what it would do. But, you know, naturally, being that in mind, you can initiate a fight, you know, on an unsuspecting enemy with Heroic Leap. Maybe again, coupling that with some aggressive follow-up attacks, such as charging them and then deploying your shield while potentially wielding a shotgun or something of that nature. I can only imagine that being extremely disorienting, if not causing, you know, massive initial damage if the whole ordeal and if that whole, you know, combination of moves is implemented correctly. I mean, that's huge initial damage right off the bat, and barely any damage on your part, especially if you pop the shield and they don't get a shot off before that. So it's really going to give you a huge edge in a gunfight if you know how to use all of these abilities in tandem to the best of their abilities, and hopefully I helped you do that and kind of understand that in a better way today. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was informative and all that kind of stuff. I really did appreciate the support on the previous video, and it was really great to see how a lot of you guys seemed to benefit from even those basic tactics. That's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because I knew that this was going to be a little bit more useful than some of the other you know, videos out there, or even just some of the video I posted. Sure, you know, it's basic stuff, but it really does help if you focus on the basics. You know, I wasn't surprised to hear you guys were starting to do a little bit better, but I'll be honest, it really did make me feel good that I was able to help you guys out. And it's the same thing with this. You know, I know it's alpha stage, I know that there's going to be so many changes, and a lot of this stuff will probably change, but I think specifically what you guys should focus on, aside from the cooldown times and the damages, because all those are more than likely going to change, is the way that it's used. That will likely not change unless they nerf something to the moon, you know what I mean? So hopefully this helps you guys out. I'll be making similar comprehensive guides for all of the other classes over time as I learn them and as I think of ways that they could be used and things like that. So hopefully it did help. Guys, if you didn't know, I actually also stream every single day of the week except Saturday. I do a variety of things. Battle Royales is one of the most, you know, prominent things that I am streaming. Please, you know, drop by, check it out, see what you guys think, have fun with us, come out and join the Sage family and things like that. We're also tackling a bunch of story mode games. Right now we're running through Doom in preparation for Doom Eternal. And we're going to be tackling a bunch of new games that are going to be coming out in the coming months. We've got a lot of great stuff planned, a lot of great stuff coming out. I'm really excited about that. If you want to get more in-depth and you know, join the community even more, I'm leaving a link to my community Discord in the comments down below. By all means, go check it out, you know, join it, you know, participate in the conversation. You'll see my streaming schedule right there. So if you guys are wondering when I'm streaming and what days I'm streaming and when and all that kind of stuff, it's in that Discord. It's pinned at the top. Please go check it out, all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, again, hopefully this helped you out. I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below with what you guys thought and different things like that. And just as a little extra tidbit, considering we talked about how beneficial the shield was, one thing I had always been wondering, and I don't know if you guys could test it out, it's not something I've been able to test out, you know, yet, is, you know, technically speaking, when deploying the shield, you're not actually getting hurt. So to speak, you're not taking armor damage and health damage. So I was thinking, what if you were able to deploy the shield and then simultaneously, or very quickly after, I should say, deploy the healing potion? Okay. Would it heal you while the gunfight is happening? I mean, technically it would by default, right? Even if you were to just put the healing pot down, it would begin to heal you. But the downside is you would potentially get shot, and if I'm not mistaken, that stops your healing ability right then and there at whatever stage it was at. By deploying the shield first, not only gives you a little bit of extra time, you know, in the gunfight to shoot your enemy, but also gives you a little extra time to heal. So not only do you get more shields, but potentially when the shields are gone, you have more health as well. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Again, that's just one of the different things that I was thinking about theory-wise. Would it work? Would it not? let's have a little Mythbusters in the comments down below. Let me know whether you guys have experienced that, whether you guys have implemented that, whether you guys have tried it out since the video. Come back, let me know what you guys think and whether it worked or not. I'm sure we'd all benefit from knowing. So with that being said, this has been Mr. Bazy, and I hope you guys have a great day.